Close your eyes and think back. Austin smashing beers, Rock raising the eyebrow, Undertaker's gong. You didn't just watch them, you felt them. They weren't wrestlers, they were gods walking down the ramp. Fast forward to today, you know the names, Roman, Cody, Seth, but do they feel as big? Not even close. So what happened? Why can't WWE make stars anymore, or do they actually choose not to? If you're new here, hit subscribe to Wrestling for Breakfast. We talk about things fans actually care about. Chapter 1: Physique and Presence. Back then, gimmicks had bodybuilders behind them. Brock, Batista, Goldberg, walking comic book heroes. They looked impossible, and that was the point. Today, muscular, sure, but more CrossFit influencer than mythic figure. And for every Drew McIntyre or Bobby Lashley, there's a Kevin Owens, a Bronson Reed, or the Uso twins. Guys who wrestle well, but don't exactly make you think they'd tear through a crowd. Even Cody Rhodes, the face of the company, has what you'd call a normal gym physique. Same with CM Punk or Sami Zayn, talented, respected, but not intimidating. Compare that to Batista in 2005. He looked like an action figure come to life. You didn't need Michael Cole screaming, "Look how powerful he is." You could see it. Today, WWE leans on commentary to tell you someone is dangerous, instead of making you feel it just by looking at them. Steroids were obviously a part of the old picture, and when the early 2000s hit with tragedy, Eddie, Benoit, the wellness policy clamped down hard. The giant frames dwindled, the muscle got leaner, and fatties became acceptable. But here's the bigger issue: the aura evaporated. Because somewhere along the way, having an intimidating superhero body stopped being a requirement. And once you lose that larger-than-life visual, you've already chipped away at the mystique of what makes a wrestling star. Chapter 2: Kayfabe and Mystique. Remember thinking Kane was actually hiding a burnt face under his mask? Or that Undertaker wasn't just a wrestler, but an actual supernatural being? That was kayfabe magic, protected like crown jewels. Undertaker himself has said he never went out drinking with the boys after shows, never sat around at bars, because he wanted to keep the dead man Mystique alive. And it worked. Obviously, we knew he wasn't really undead, but it made you wonder. It blurred the line. It gave fans something to debate. Okay, yeah, wrestling is scripted, but that part felt real. That's what kayfabe did. It didn't convince you everything was 100% true, but it planted just enough doubt to make you question what was real. And that aura made wrestlers feel mythical. Today, that feeling is gone. Wrestlers are all over social media, doing podcasts, posting backstage selfies with the same people they're supposed to hate. Seth Rollins will sit on Logan Paul's podcast and talk about his storylines. Even WWE itself pulled the curtain all the way back with that Netflix Unreal series, showing wrestlers in full gear planning their matches. And once everyone knows nothing is real, once there's no mystery left, the aura disappears. Wrestlers stop being larger than life and start being actors in spandex. Because the one thing that made you debate, wonder, and argue with your friends, that's gone. Chapter 3: Emotional Stakes and Storytelling. Stone Cold versus Vince wasn't just a storyline. It was every worker versus their boss. You didn't need to be a wrestling fan to feel that. Anyone who ever hated their manager could connect instantly. Eddie and Ray fighting for Dominic wasn't about belts. It was about family. Something so personal that fans argued like it was happening in real life. People weren't debating if Eddie could beat Ray. They were debating who deserved custody of a child. That's not just wrestling, that's drama. And Shawn Michaels chasing Undertaker's streak? That wasn't a match. That was a man's entire career, his identity, hanging by a thread. The emotion when he lost, you could feel it in your chest. Those stories gave depth. They gave characters layers beyond belts and rankings. You weren't just watching matches, you were watching people's lives unfold. That's why Jeff Hardy's battles with addiction were so powerful. That's why Edge tormenting John Cena and his family was unforgettable. You weren't just tuning in for a wrestling show, you were tuning in for human stories that mattered. Today, 90% of the roster is motivated by one thing: titles. Championships are props. Promos are generic. Feuds recycle 3, sometimes 4 times in a row until you stop caring. And when every story boils down to "I want to prove I'm the best wrestler," you don't get icons. You don't get legends. You get talented athletes with no emotional core. And that's why, 10 years from now, people won't reminisce about these feuds the way we still talk about Austin versus McMahon or Hardy versus Edge. Because when the only stakes are a shiny belt, there's nothing left to fight for once it's gone. Chapter 4: Corporate Strategy and Star Suppression. And here's the conspiracy angle. WWE didn't just forget how to make stars. They chose not to. Because when you create a Rock, he leaves for Hollywood. When you create a Punk, he walks and buries the company. When you create a Brock, he holds you hostage for more money. Real stars get leverage, and Vince hated that. TKO hates it even more. Think about it. In the past, stars drove the company. Pay-per-views were sold on names: Hogan, Austin, Rock, Cena. Today, the star is the brand. It's WrestleMania that sells, not the wrestlers. Fans buy tickets because it's the WWE experience, not because they believe they're seeing the next icon. So instead, WWE created a system where nobody is bigger than the logo. Generic music, safe looks, overproduced promos, a tightly scripted product where wrestlers don't even own their names. It's not about larger than life anymore. It's about keeping everyone on the same level so no one can walk away with the ball. And that's the trade-off. The brand always wins, even if that means the stars don't. So here's the question. Do you think WWE even wants another Rock or Austin, or are they perfectly happy keeping everyone replaceable? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading. And don't forget to subscribe to Wrestling for Breakfast, because unlike WWE, I actually want stars.